So number 7 says, a store's revenue is the amount of money received for goods sold. A store's cost is the amount of money the store pays for the goods, plus all the store's operating costs like rent, utilities, wages, etc. A store's net profit is the difference between revenue and costs. During 1 month, a grocery store paid $3,000 for goods that were sold for $39,500. With operating costs as shown below, what was the store's net profit for that month? Okay, so as you may know, like stores have to buy things before they can sell them to you, so that's when they're like buying this stuff, and then they have to like pay their operating costs. So their operating costs is what they're talking about right here. So things like they have to pay for rent to have the store open, they have to pay for taxes and insurance, they have to pay for interest on their loans, they have to pay the grocer, like the person who works there. They have to pay for the people who work there part-time, and then sometimes there's like some miscellaneous fees and stuff. So all of this money is things that they have to pay for over the course of a month, right? So they have to pay for everything here. So I'm going to add all those numbers together because those are a part of their costs, right? And then it also says that they paid $30,000 for the goods, right? So that's also a part of their cost. So their cost is whatever we get here plus the $30,000. So as you can see, it's really expensive to run a store. And then they sold $39,500. So they sold that much, but it wasn't all profit. Profit is the money that you make after you take away all the costs. So once we figure out what all of this is, I'm going to subtract that from here to see how much money was like left over, how much money they actually made in profit. So I'm going to go to my calculator. I'm going to add up 2,500 plus 370 plus 400 plus 4,500 plus 630 plus 400. And I can see that that all costs $8,800. Right, that was their operating costs, like all these things added up together. Right, is this. So then I'm going to add these together. So I'm going to add 30,000. So $800 was how much money it costs, right? So these are costs here, and this is how much money they brought in, like what they sold, right? So what they sold, so this amount minus that amount would tell me how much profit they made. Right? That's what those first few sentences are trying to tell you. So they're talking about revenue, that's how much they sold. Their cost is how much they have to pay, and then the net profit is the difference between the revenue and the cost. So the cost minus the cost taking away from the revenue. Right? This technical, like fancy math word is revenue. That's how much money you make. So I'm gonna do 39,500 minus the 38,800. I get $700. So really their profit was only $700, which is not very much. So they made $700 that month. For number 8, it says, when Jorge began a driving trip, his car's odometer read 42 miles. So that thing that tells you how many miles he's gone, his car's ever gone, only says 42, so he must have a brand new car. After Jorge drove for 3 hours, the odometer read 165 miles. Which of the following values is closest to Jorge's average driving speed in miles per hour during those 3 hours? So we need to figure out how many miles he went, and we know that he went for 3 hours. So in miles per hour, and we know he went 3 hours. We need to know how many miles he went. So it reads 165, but he already had gone 42. So 165 minus the 42 he had already gone would give me 123. 123 miles in 3 hours. And we want to know miles per 1 hour. So I'm going to do 123 divided by 3. And I get 41. So I'd have 41 miles per hour. That's how fast he was going. So my answer is G. For number 9, it says Melinda and Jericho are painting a room in the city recreation center. They start with 5 gallons of paint. On the first day, Melinda used 3/4 of a gallon of paint, and Jericho used 2.5 gallons of paint. how many gallons of paint were left after the first day. So they started with 5 gallons. They used 3/4 of a gallon, and then they used 2.5 more gallons. Right, so a couple different ways you can do this. I know that 3/4 is the same as 0.75. So I have 0.75, 5 minus 0.75, minus 2, and I know 1/2 is 0.5, so that's 2.5. So then in my calculator I could do 5 minus 0.75 minus 2.5, and I get 1.75. So I know it's 1.75. I know it's 1 gallon, and then I remember that 3/4 is 0.75, so it must be 1 3/4. Just like 75 cents is literally like 3/4 in money. That is what you have in this situation. You could have also just done the fractions in your calculator. So 5 minus 3/4 minus 2. The problem is you have to do like 2 whole gallons and then minus the 1/2 gallon, like that. And then you would have 1.75. If you put in the 2 times, like if you put it in like this, right, so 2 and 1/2 is how you would write it, then you would get the wrong answer because this means multiplication. In this writing, it means addition. They're using 2.5 gallons. So it's easier to write it as 1/2, but you get the same answer. Cool. And then finally, for number 10, it says, what value of x makes the equation below true? We have this one here. I can see that this is the x that they're solving for. So in this case, I see division here, so I'm going to actually multiply times 5 squared on both sides. And that's going to cancel the bottom here and leave me with 25 to the power of x is equal to, I'm going to do this side of my calculator since there's no variables, so 5 to the power of 4 times 5 squared. I get that big old number, so I get this here. And then I know this is 5 to the power of something, gives me this, so I can just check my answers here. So I'm going to start in the middle, so 25 to the power of 8. Whoa, that number is way too big. So I'm going to go down, 25 to the power of 6, it's still way too big, 25 to the power of 3. That number matches my original number that I was going for, so I know this is 25 to the power of 3, so my x is f. Sweet. Another way you could have done it is just like guess and check all the way through. So like put a 3 here, divide it by 5 squared equals 5 to the 4th, and just guess and check your way through here. So you could have done like 25 to the power of 3 divided by 5 squared. Oh, 25 to the power of 3. Get out of there, divided by 5 squared. And that would have been 625, but then you would have to check 5 to the power of 4 is also 625, so that since these are the same, you know that is the correct number to put in there. It's probably easier to get this to be a little bit smaller before you do that. So the answer is F.